Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to mix without being like this engineer, super mixy guy. You don't have to have all this crazy knowledge to get a good mix. You just got to follow these little basic principles. So let's hop right into the video. I'm going to show you how it sounds before and after, and then we'll break down the mix and hopefully you guys get some out of this. And yeah, let's jump into it. Okay, so the first thing you really want is to have a good take. If you have bad takes where there's like too much noise, there's a lot of popping in the background, a lot of movement, a lot of yada yada, it's gonna sound bad. No matter what you do to it, it's gonna sound bad. The second step is having a good vocal chain. If you don't have a vocal chain that you enjoy, you're not gonna make the music you want to make. You need to have something that fits your voice or something that fits the genre or fits the aesthetic you're going for. If you're using like a super simple chain with like three plugins and you're like, yeah, this is like an industry standard thing, but you don't like how it sounds, you're not going to enjoy recording. You're not going to enjoy the music you make. Right now, I'm just showing you the chain that I'm using for my vocals. This is the one we're going to be using for the day. And yeah, let's go on to the next step. Now that you got your takes, you're ready to fucking mix. You got a banger on your hands. You don't know where to start. I'm going to give you a good base. I'm going to give you a good starting point. Basically, every time I just set up my doubles. These are the settings I always choose for my doubles. This is how the doubles sound. I got visions in my head and they come with heavy stack. Doubles are usually just to add more grit to the vocal, to add more presence. And then it's always followed up by a telephone SFX. Basically, this is just a high and low pass on the vocal. You can do this with an EQ. You don't need this plugin. And yeah, that's where I start. Usually I start with a decapitator here on top of the group bus of the vocals. These are the settings I choose. Make sure you're watching this little mix thing because it could be a little too harsh. All it's really doing is grabbing the vocals and actually like giving it some grit, some distortion, so it's actually pushed up front and it's not pushed to the back. On these type of beats that I rap on, there's usually a lot of things going on just because they're like very synth heavy, very 808 heavy. So yeah, that's the first step. That is the first step. Second step is going to be throwing on an ozone onto your main vocal, not the double. Basically, it's just going to give it its own space. It's going to push it up front once again because, you know, I'm also a very ad-lib heavy type of person. And this is how the main vocal sounds. I got visions in my head and they come with heavy stacks. Got some rappers in my system moving fast. Just makes it a lot more beautiful. And I already told you guys about the double. And the same principles apply for the ad lib. If you don't have an ad lib that you like and that it doesn't have its own space in the mix and it just sounds like you're just blurting stuff out in the background, like abruptly, it's gonna sound kind of bad. It depends on the style, but most of the time you don't really want that. And with my Yeat Adlib V2, you know, I get it most of the time. This is gonna do the job. This is gonna get the foundation ready for the mixing. You understand me? You understand? And usually I process my vocals a little heavier, or my ad-lib vocals a little heavier. I usually throw an extra delay or Valhalla, you know. This is just the shimmer. These are the settings I chose. All it's really doing is adding like this cascading effect to it. I don't really know what it's called, but it just makes it sound really cool. And yeah, and then I throw this ozone imager on with the dynamic width preset, and I put the stereoize to 20, giving it its own crazy space, its own crazy width, just actually pushing it away from the vocals because you don't want it on top of it for this type of ad lib. And then I threw on an L2 just to adjust audio settings, or I should say loudness, and I put it on a -3 dB threshold, and that's all I do there. And then this is a utility. I put the setting to swap, basically just changing the polarities. Basically what it's doing is kind of like flipping the audio wave so it doesn't clash with the main one. Also, yeah, I threw on a pan man on this section right here. Pan man, basically just panning left to right. It doesn't need to be pan man. You could use any, you know, auto panner. And this is how the ad lib sounds. All right, we're gonna move on to my buddy's vocal right here, To Sleep. I did the same exact type of mixing on his. The only difference is I used the Young Thug V2 preset. They all come in a bundle. The Yeet V2 preset that I'm using and the Young Thug and the ad-libs, they all come in the same bundle. And basically, it's just a different preset. I didn't really do anything to it. And this is how his vocals sound.
Let me hit that metronome. In the back with your shorty, I'll be slipping snow. We got bread over here, I'm like what you want. 40 bitches in a circle like a ritual. I so put it all in a bud. Show your freak all on that dick, yo, yo, we make it snow. Make it snow.
Same principles, same everything. And I'm telling you, bro, the vocals just sound fucking insane. These vocals are next level, especially if you're just someone that wants to get your vocals right and release the music. If you don't want to go through this whole hassle of sending it out to someone or using the AI and you want to start really dialing in your sound, this is going to help you immensely, bro. Because I remember there was times where I was down bad. I'm just like, bro, this, like, the song is cool, but like this mix is just fucking awful. And one thing about this, it's going to be car ready for the most part. You know, sometimes depending on the beat, it's not going to work all the time. But for like 98% of vocals, 98% of mixing sessions, specifically for like a small rapper, a small artist, this is going to get you to the point where you want to get. So if you guys like the presets or anything, or if I gave you any sauce for your next mixing session, cop it, drop a like, drop a sub, drop a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.